puts up a tough shot. Bounces around. Goes in at the buzzer. Working it down to 2-1. A deep three. Oh!
It's population.
That's how you win a game.
It's population. We hustle every day to find picks. You can tell us if you want to get rich. It's population. We robbing Underdog and PrizePicks. We the best in this biz. You ain't telling us shit. It's population. We love making money quick, fast. Cooking up a team card. The whole crew about to smash. It's population. We do it for the fam, so everybody let's cash. The dopest team you ever seen. Winning money, stacking G's. Bookies setting traps, but they'll never catch me. Some people get addicted like rats to the cheese, but I got one obligation to bring Johnny to his knees. Holding back the props till the morning he knows. They'll be fishing in the shack, plotting nukes with the pros. Only withdraw, never reload. Underrated to my amigos. We go with the honest, we singing the bloods. We know when a fucking cheat code. Party that I'm sweating, it can't be good for my health. Some might call it making bets, I call it investing in myself. I'm picking props like stocks, population for the win. Got my sips in by the buzzer now, let the games begin.
Unbelievable. Just perfect. He did it.
It's population. It's population. It's population. We do it for the fam, so everybody let's cash.
Yo, what is up, guys? I hope everyone's having a good Friday. How about you, E? How you doing?
Doing pretty well, man. I think today went pretty well overall for us, so can't complain here. How about yourself?
Yeah. It's pretty good. We can recap from both the stream last night, what we constructed, and then some plays we added from later in the day once they became available. But yeah, here's the list we came up with last night. We said look out for Kyle Kuzma's fantasy and Denny's fantasy. They both went over that pretty easily. Kuzma went off. I think he had 50 plus. We talked about Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges. And yeah, Brandon Miller got it done with his PR. And Bridges cleared everything. His dunk, his points. And then our loyal member of the community, Nugget, threw out Giannis's 0.5 3-point made. He got that tonight. And we talked about Hartenstein under 7.5 points. Then it was good value because in the morning they bumped it down to 6.5. He stayed under the bump too. He finished with 5 points, so that worked out. Then we talked about Clint because Jalen Johnson was out. He went over his points in PR, which we talked about last night. And we said look out for Van Vliet's fantasy. And we actually got a favorable line at 35. He's usually at 36.5 in a good matchup. And then the only miss we had on the stream last night was Sengun. Jabari went off. And like I always say, when Jabari has a good game, and that in terms of rebounding and scoring, it really hurts Sengun, and vice versa. And then all the rookies off the bench just did too much and ruined his usage. And then he ended up sitting majority of the fourth quarter and didn't come in until the 5-minute mark, and usually comes in the 8-minute mark. But they had a pretty comfortable lead, so they didn't really need him, rush him back in. So he finished with 34 PRA. I think the key lesson learned is it's a phenomenal spot for a guy like him who's been on a absolute tear run. But with the Rockets, I think Udoka, when they're in a matchup where it's a pretty easy cakewalk, like he's gonna give the rookies a longer leash and more run to get them experience and basically practice, right? So he really leaned on the rookies in the second half. So definitely think something to consider. We talked about Cam Whitmore, and he cleared everything, his fantasy, PR, etc. So just something to consider with the Rockets. If they have like a double-digit spread and they're going into a real easy team, maybe consider the rookies like Cam Whitmore and Eamon Thompson went off too. So Lesson learned there, and then some plays we added once they became available. D. Russ's RA, whenever LeBron's out, he crushes that, and he did it again tonight. And then we got on Nick Richards dunks. Just do the matchup. I think we talked about it last night. To look out for his dunk and Miles Bridges, and then he brought up a good play with Jaren Jackson's field goal attempt. He ended up playing. He was questionable, I think, and so yeah, he's a chuck when he's out there, especially with Luke Kennard out and GG Jackson out. So that it ended up being a sweat at the end, but it really wasn't full game wise. I mean, he was chucking it. It's just yeah, he got it at the end there, and then yeah, Jimmy didn't get his free throws in a favorable spot. He missed a couple, and then we like Sadiq as an alternate to Clint because Clint got juiced in the morning, all of his props. So just with Jalen Johnson being out, but we didn't get his rebound. Much rather have a 6.5 rebound, but we PrizePicks, he only got his PR, and he shot horrible. I think he was 1 of 10 at one point. I don't know what he finished with. Him and Hunter had a brick party, so it's gonna happen with shooters, right? So, but overall, I mean, it was a solid day. Yeah, I wish Singing could have got there. He was close. We just didn't get the minutes and usage. So let's talk about this slate. I don't think we can't talk about the Clippers or Bulls really much at all here because I think every single main starter is questionable for the Clippers. I think Paul George, Kawhi, and Harden, all three of them are questionable. So we have no idea the status of that and who's going to be in or out. And I think that matters for the Bulls side too, because if like 2 of the 3 are out or all 3 are out, then that changes the whole landscape. I think that game we have to wait and see. I don't even think it's worth taking any stabs unless you want to take a stab on any of the players on the Bulls side. If it's like a first half prop, because if all 3 of the Clippers main guys are out, then yeah, who knows what that game's going to look like for the full distance. I mean, Clippers are still 7.5 point favorites at home, so Vegas thinks that some of these main guys are going to play.
Yeah, I will say the one that kind of stood out for me for first half line at least, but Vooch, his first half 16.5 PRA, he was just, I mean, literally 18 and a half, and even last game he was 17.5 before locks. So they keep putting that really low, and he's been absolutely destroying that.
Yeah, his usage rate since All-Star break is insane. Like I mentioned before in the stream, he receives the most passes inside the paint as a center than any other center since in the league and since All-Star break. So I mean, he's taking 20 shots plus 20 plus shots a game now. So I get it. And if guys like Kawhi are out, I mean, it's even better for him, right? Because Kawhi defensively is their best defender, especially against bigs when Kawhi's down playing it in the low block. So, any other Bulls guys here, or just Vooch?
Depending on if anybody else is out on the other side, DeRozan, he's been on quite a tear lately, but they've also played quite a few games here within this last week. So, just keep an eye out for some fatigue probably setting in soon for some of these older guys.
I agree. Yeah, and he's back in his hometown, right? He's from LA, so
yeah.
Yeah, he's been getting it done and from the free throw line, like the old DeRozan we know from the last 2 years on the Bulls. So okay. And yeah, can't do anything with the Clippers. Next game, Mavs Pistons. Can't really do anything with the Mavs either. You could roll the dice, but Luka has 3 injuries now. He had 2 going into the last game. He had a broken nose, and an ankle sprain. Now he injured and banged up his elbow in the most recent game. So he's got a broken nose, hurt elbow, and a sprained ankle, and he's questionable, and he's on the road in Detroit. All signs to me, if I had to guess, is that he's going to sit. But it's Luka, and loves to play, so we'll see. Did they play on Sunday?
Let's see. They do not.
Okay, so that's good. At least it's not a front end. But yeah, we have no idea. If you want to roll the dice and say that he's out, then it's a smash spot for Kyrie against Detroit. If you wanted to take any of his first half lines, but the problem with that is that if Luka does play, that first half is gonna be a real problem because Kyrie continues to go under his first half lines because how high Luka's usage is in the first half. So it's a high risk, high reward dice roll that could be really fruitful if he sits, but kind of roll the dice when you're betting on injury status. And another thing, if Luka's out, I think you really consider PJ Washington's RA because he's going to get a big boost in rebounds. I mean, all these guys are. He's going to get a boost in rebounds. He'll have the ball in his hands more with Luka out, and it's a good rebound spot here for him against Detroit with all the bricks going up. So that's another one you could roll the dice on. I wouldn't feel good about it if Luka plays though. And then on the Detroit side, I got to go right back to Duran. He's most active and highest usage is in the first half. That's when Cade is not usually as active. So, and looking to set up plays for others and playmaking more. And usually Cade starts to turn it on the second half when they need him. The 13.5, sorry, not the RA, but the 13.5 first half PRA. Definitely like they bumped his first half points is normally 6.5. They bumped it to 7. I think unless he gets an and one, usually he needs 4 buckets no matter what for his points. You could definitely do that too, but it's such a favorable rebound spot for him. Going against guys like Kleber and Gafford, and he's very familiar with Gafford, right? When playing against him when he was on the Wizards. I imagine that PRA is going to bump. Probably not the points because it's already juiced, but the PRA should bump in this spot where he should have plenty of offensive rebound opportunities. And we've been attacking Dallas with bigs. They're one of the top 5 teams to attack with bigs. Over the last 15 games, they are number 1 in points allowed to centers. So I think Detroit looks to get Duran active early. Now the only thing is if Luka plays, you got to worry about Luka drawing fouls at him because he can pick up some fouls. But yeah, I think it's a great spot for him. If Luka plays, would you just take his first half PRA again? I imagine it'll bump once that news comes out that he's playing. But yeah, any interest there?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I absolutely love Duran this first half line. 13.5 is way too low, and I also agree that I think they're not only going to bump it, but just one from all the green bars. It's going to look good for the public, but we've seen all the centers here recently, like you mentioned. They've just been destroying Dallas, so I really like it here. They're at home, and typically should play a little bit better, so I really like it. I think that's a really low line to split.
Yeah, and then for now, if you're building a card tonight, are you just not going to take the risk and take either Kyrie or Luka based on the news? I mean, you could take Luka, like say you just do a 2-pick, you could take Luka right now. And if he doesn't play, then it just DMPs and get the refund, right? But I wouldn't put him in like a 5-pick or 4-pick or anything like that. If you wanted to do it, just because it sucks when you get that DNP and a 5-pick flex, then it bumps down the payout. So I don't mind that the little game stack if you wanted to just take the risk on it. I mean, it's a great PRA spot for him in this matchup. And then
Yeah.
what would you take the risk on Kyrie's like first half PRA points and hope that Lucas sits, or because if he doesn't sit, I mean it is Detroit. I mean he could get there, but it's just due to the sheer lack of volume and usage.
No, I'd probably hold off on Kyrie. I mean, and I'm surprised they even opened it at 18. Like, he's been coming up pretty short of that. So either they're really expecting him to sit, or, that line should see a lot of movement tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing is Gafford. I think, is Lively still dealing with injury? Let's see. Their most recent game. He didn't start, right? Yeah, Gafford started.
No.
We've seen this matchup, right?
Yeah,
Against,
Lively's out, actually.
Yeah, okay, so we've seen this matchup plenty of times. And Gafford, he has potential to have a block party here against Duran. So how do you feel about his first half fantasy? His first half PRA is at 9.5, so what his first half fantasy is usually, 13.5? 12.5?
Yeah, usually around 12.5.
How do you feel about that against Duran and starting? And then, especially if Luka's out, it should increase his usage.
Yeah, honestly, I don't mind it, with or without Luka. Without Luka would be ideal, but the block potential, like you mentioned here, not only from Duran, but also with Isaiah Stewart being back, he's been pretty active. So I think that's a pretty solid play.
And Ivy too. I don't know if you noticed, like Ivy, whenever he drives the basket, he hands out free blocks for people, especially big. So, yeah. Okay, yeah. So he went against Duran 3 times this season. When he was on the Wizards, and he had 21.7 fantasy in the first half, 17.5, and 16.3. He had at least one stock in the first half, and then in 2 of the meetings he had 3 stocks in each game in the first half. So playing probably more minutes though. All right, what did he play last game when he started with Lively out? Let's see, he played about 7 minutes there, and then about 5 minutes, about 12 minutes. But probably 2 minutes, around 2 minutes less than when he was normally playing when he was on the Wizards. But yeah, let's look out for that. I probably wouldn't just take a straight up PRA, because with Gafford you want his block upside, right?
For sure.
Okay, and then last thing here, Azra. If Luka plays, Azra's going to be on him, and Luka is going to draw so many fouls on him. So look out for Luka's free throw prop for sure, especially if it's at its normal 6.5. And on top of that, I think you can really consider some Azra unders. I know it's a soft matchup for him against Dallas, who's one of the worst defensive ratings since the All-Star break. But I just really think he's going to foul at a really high clip if he's shadowing Luka, which he will, because they put him on the primary ball handling scoring player on the team, opposing team. So I might have to consider some unders, and it would probably be PRA, either first half or full game. Anything else from Pistons? We only have one more game on the board at least.
Yeah, I saw they're keeping the board pretty light right now.
Yeah. Isaiah Stewart did absolutely nothing last game, right? So they just keep bringing his lines down. Boston, Phoenix, Jaylen Brown is questionable again with the pelvis injury. And then I think Devin Booker was upgraded to questionable now. So that game's a mess, right? We got 2 key questionable tags, and the problem is it's later in the day, because you have this Island game starting earlier, and then this one is one of the later games, so probably won't have that news before the first set of games start. So I'm, I imagine because they kept last game they kept Jalen Brown a true game time decision up until tip. So and I have no idea about D-Book. They might release that news early in the morning after shoot around. Look out for that news. If D-Book plays, are you just going to stay away from the Suns? If he doesn't play, do you have any interest in any of them?
Yeah, this game's kind of tough to interpret. Yeah, Boston's been really good. They're a little, more sketch on the road defensively, but I mean, they should be able to come in and handle this business pretty easily here. I'd be a little weary of full game props here, just because I mean, Phoenix is still having so many issues. Like they're getting bailed out in a lot of these games from just one person having absurd 30+ point game to kind of save them. So I'd be a little, like I said, cautious with that, but probably honestly just kind of fade this game or play it like a true island game, because unless we get lucky with the injury news like you mentioned, it's really hard. You're just taking a shot in the dark and hoping guys play or game script breaks out this way or this way.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if D-Book plays, it's they're very similar in that sense. Guessing between all the three primary guys, so it should be a good game to watch if D-Book plays, and especially since it's in Phoenix, it should be even more competitive. But yeah, without D-Book, the Suns aren't the full same team, right? And in terms of productivity, but being at home, I think definitely helps them. And then we don't have, so there's 3 other games and they're not currently on the board. We have the Spurs and Warriors. I haven't checked the status on Wemby, if he's going to be out again or not. If he plays, then he's always live here. And Warriors side, Steph is out. So, yeah, we'll see. I imagine Chris Paul's going to move into the starting lineup. So, depending on what his assist line is, I think you could definitely consider his assists in this prime matchup where the Spurs just bleed assists to guards in the backcourt. So, we just have to see what his line is. I mean, if we get anything less than 8, I would definitely be interested. And then Jazz, Nuggets. I think Jokic is questionable, so that's a wait and see. I think Markkanen remains out. If Jokic is out, yeah, Jamal Murray's PA and Aaron Gordon's RA are definitely live. And look out for Aaron Gordon's dunk prop. He's just dunking at a high clip, and the Jazz allow a lot of dunks with Collins at the 5. We'll have to see if I haven't checked on Kessler's status. And yeah, they give up the 3 ball too. So look at MPJ's props as well. And Raptors Blazers. We just saw the Blazers play tonight, so they're on the back end. Quickly's just been just destroying his RA, right? Like, and fantasy as a result. It's only a 1-point spread, and it's in Portland, so it should go the distance. Gary Trent revenge game. He's been destroying his first half fantasy and fantasy overall. Good spot for him here. Got extra motivation back in Portland. Yeah, so I'm all for Gary Trent's fantasy and Quickly's fantasy in separate slips. How do you feel about that game? Any props of interest? And then I'll answer. We got a question on chat. Wemby is out tomorrow. Thank you, Jimmy Hendricks. And yeah, I was going to get to your question about DFS. What'd you think, any?
Yeah. So quickly, like you mentioned, he's just been killing the RA. I think with his current role, I mean, it looks like they have his RA juiced up to 13.5 now, so that is a little high. But I mean, his fantasy, man, he's just doing so much for the team. He's he's definitely embraced that, all that usage that RJ Barrett is, or not Barrett, that Scotty Barnes is leaving in his absence. So his fantasy, I think, is pretty solid. Probably even his first half fantasy. I mean, he's playing a ton of minutes, and he's far and away leading the team in potential assists. So the playmaking's very much so there.
His line since Scotty's been out, they keep increasing it. It was 17 and a half. Last game it was 18 and a half first half fantasy. I imagine it's going to go up to 19 and a half now. But he's been averaging around 22 to 23 fantasy in the first half since Scotty's been out. And yeah, this is a great fantasy spot for him here. You just saw what the Rockets did, their backcourt in terms of stocks and playmaking tonight. And I think it's good. That's good for both Gary and Quickly. And then Kelly O, RJ, I mean, they're definitely viable here in this matchup. But I think if I had to choose though, if I had a single bullet, I was making one, I would choose just Quickly, just due to the pure usage and how he's just filling up the entire stat line. And so, Jimmy, to answer your question, you said I need one center, one small forward, and one point guard. I can play them by themselves. 30 points DFS. I would say I would definitely say Quickly. I don't know if you have a salary restriction or anything like that. If Luka doesn't play, but if Luka plays, I mean, he's always the go-to, right? But if Luka's out, then I think Quickly in this matchup is probably a really solid option. And then Jamal Murray if Jokic is out. Small forward, what do you think, E? What would be your favorite small forward for fantasy wise in these matchups?
Small forward. That's a tough decision. I mean, Jaylen Brown, if he plays, he's definitely been a really solid. I mean, it's not a pretty slate for small forwards, I'll be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I with Steph out, I think in this matchup you could consider Kuminga, especially if Wemby's out. He's been racking up the stocks lately, and he'll play make here and there, and he's been rebounding. So, and we always like attacking the Spurs. With you on the Jaylen Brown, and then
Michael
DeRozan has been doing well fantasy wise, but it's just not the best spot. What was that?
I was going to say Michael Porter Jr. could actually be in a spot to go off tomorrow. I mean, the Jazz, they're really vulnerable from three, and his size should help him out here, and especially if Joker sits in. I mean, he should really have some huge usage.
Yeah. If Jokic does play, Jimmy, I mean, he would obviously be the best center here, and I mean, couldn't ask for a better matchup for him. If he is out, then what would be your favorite center on the slate?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what context he's asking for. Is this uncapped?
Fantasy potential. This is for DFS.
Yeah, or is this an uncapped salary, or are we just looking for the highest play? I mean, Vooch is definitely up there. Duran, I would say fairly high on the list.
Yep.
And then if Brown does in fact sit, then Porzingis, he'd probably have a nice little usage bump.
Yep. And then obviously Wemby if he plays. We just saw what Vooch did to the Warriors. So, oh no, Wemby's out. That's right. Jimmy said Wemby's out, so never mind. Yeah, I like that list. I hope that helps, Jimmy. And thanks for subbing. Appreciate it. Rex and Blessing said, "What's the recipe?" Oh, very limited board what we had, but this is the two main plays we're going with for what's available right now. We're going to go with Duran's first half 13.5 PRA and Vooch's first half 16.5 PRA. And we also talked about if you wanted to game stack that, and right now you can just take Luka's first half PRA, but there's a chance he could sit because he is questionable with 3 injuries, like I said. So it would just DNP and you get the refund, but that's an option as well. But if I was doing it right now, I would just make the 2 slips and do the 2 that we liked, and then I would do a second slip with Luka as well. But yeah, very limited board. I think we only have 3 games, and we have a lot more. I think 3 games are missing, and a couple teams. So 4 games, right? Yeah. Oh no, 3. No, 4. Sorry, Nets.
4.
We don't have the Nets, Hornets, Spurs, Warriors, Jazz, Nuggets, and Raptors, Blazers. Yeah. You got anything else? I don't. It looks like they didn't add anything else. So
Yeah, I was hoping they would after the top of the hour, but looks like they're holding back for the weekend. So, nah, that's gonna be about it for right now. We're just kind of waiting on see what they're gonna give us to work with, and we'll go from there.
sounds good. We'll be back. Maybe Saturday or Sunday. We'll see. And just depends on the schedule because it's just hard on the weekends. But if not, for sure Monday. Yeah, and hope everyone has a good weekend, and let's keep this hot streak going. I feel like we got a good stretch going, and I feel like the analysis process and the process that we use, we're showing what we do, and hope it helps people. So, alrighty, catch you later. Catch everyone. Yeah, so maybe this weekend or Monday.
Later, y'all.